The Stoics, masters of understanding human nature, recognized that attraction transcends mere physical appearance. They understood that subtle, often overlooked traits can significantly enhance a man's allure. In this video, we'll explore 7 unusual traits that secretly make men more attractive, all through the lens of Stoic philosophy. Watch till the end to uncover these insights, and if you find value, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Chapter 1. Strong, well-defined hands and vascularity. In the realm of subtle physical cues, strong, well-defined hands and visible vascularity stand as silent, yet commanding, testaments to a man's health, vitality, and discipline. These features rarely become the topic of casual conversation, yet they carry an undeniable weight. They communicate something ancient, something primal. To those attuned to the deeper language of the body, they are unmistakable signs of a life forged in effort. The Stoics, though primarily known for their focus on inner virtue, never dismissed the physical form. To them, the body was not a shrine to be worshipped, but a tool to be honed. A vessel of action, an instrument of the soul's intention. Hands, more than almost any other body part, are rich with symbolism. They are how we shape our world. We lift, we build, we defend, we embrace. Through our hands, we transmit our will into reality. A firm grip communicates presence. A steady hand under pressure reveals a trained mind. Whether crafting, working, leading, or protecting, hands tell a story of what a man has done and what he is capable of doing. They carry memory, power, and precision. A man with strong, disciplined hands doesn't need to explain himself. He communicates competence through every movement. And in a Stoic sense, these hands are shaped not just by genetics or labor, but by daily choice, the choice to show up, to do the work, to stay committed when others fold. Visible vascularity, the delicate networks of veins beneath the skin, is often misunderstood as a purely aesthetic trait. But those who understand the body know it's not about vanity, it's about evidence. Evidence of discipline, of effort, of sacrifice. Vascularity suggests a man who pays attention not just to his training, but to his fuel, his rest, his habits. It's the result of consistent movement, intentional eating, and respect for the natural order. It reveals someone who has aligned his body with his values. Someone who chooses long-term strength over short-term pleasure. And someone who lives with enough clarity to resist the ever-present pull toward laziness and indulgence. The Stoics warned against becoming obsessed with appearance, yet they equally cautioned against neglect. Neglect, to them, was a vice disguised as indifference. Balance, therefore, was the aim. A strong body wasn't for show, it was for service. It allowed a man to carry out his duties with precision and energy. Especially the parts we use most, like the hands, were seen as vital tools for executing reason, delivering justice, and embodying courage. They are the extensions of intention, the physical allies of virtue. Paying attention to one's hands also shows appreciation for discipline in the details. Clean, clipped nails. Cared for skin. No grime, no laziness hiding beneath the surface. These things may seem minor, but they reflect something deeper, a mind that values order. A man who doesn't let disorder take root in the small places, because he knows that rot often begins in silence. The way a man treats his hands can mirror the way he treats his responsibilities, his thoughts, and his relationships. It's not about perfection, but about persistence. It's not about looking polished, it's about not tolerating decay. And here's where physical mastery becomes spiritual. A man who trains his body trains his soul. When he grips a barbell, he is not just lifting iron, he is lifting responsibility. When he strengthens his hands, he is strengthening his ability to shape the world around him. When he keeps his vascularity through effort and control, he is signaling that he is awake, aware, and in command. His body, then, becomes not just a frame, but a message. A message that says, I am ready. I am capable. I am in pursuit of more. In essence, while the Stoics taught that virtue is the highest good, they also understood that the pursuit of virtue is made easier with a capable, responsive body. Strong, defined hands and vascularity are not signs of arrogance, they are signs of alignment. They indicate that a man is not wasting his potential, that he understands his physical self as a partner in his mission, not a distraction from it. That he sees the body not as decoration, but as declaration. To walk the Stoic path is to live in truth, internally and externally. And when the external begins to reflect the internal, something powerful happens. The man no longer needs to speak his values, they are etched into his physique, his movements, his silence. Outer strength, then, becomes a reflection of inner mastery. And that kind of strength, quiet, earned, enduring, is the kind that leaves an impression long after you've left the room. Chapter 2: Nutrient-Rich Diet. The Stoics believed in living in harmony with nature, not just in thought, but in action. That meant aligning daily habits with what nature intended for human flourishing. And one of the most fundamental yet overlooked acts of harmony is how a man feeds himself. A nutrient-rich diet doesn't just sustain the body, it becomes a mirror of his discipline, self-respect, and sense of order. It is a quiet but potent signal of self-mastery, which is one of the most magnetic traits a man can carry. Feeding the body with clean, wholesome foods, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, is a daily affirmation of care. It's a decision, repeated with every meal, that says, I value my energy, my longevity, and my clarity of mind. This is Stoic at its core, not indulgence, not denial, but intelligent moderation. To eat with intention rather than impulse is to practice reason, the highest Stoic virtue. And that reason radiates outward in ways others can't always explain, but deeply feel. Modern science echoes this ancient wisdom. Diets high in carotenoids, those vibrant pigments found in carrots, sweet potatoes, spinach, and other colorful produce, have been shown to create a subtle golden hue in the skin. This glow is not cosmetic. It's biological vitality made visible. People instinctively associate it with health, fertility, and vigor. Without saying a word, your skin can communicate that you're biologically thriving, and that gets noticed, often on an unconscious level. Beyond appearance, there's scent. A man's natural body odor is shaped profoundly by what he consumes. Diets heavy in processed foods, sugar, alcohol, and excessive red meats can lead to more acrid, sour odors. In contrast, men who consume more plant-based foods and stay hydrated tend to have a cleaner, more inviting natural scent. It's primal. It bypasses logic. And it feeds directly into attraction cues that have evolved over thousands of years. The Stoics might not have known the biochemistry behind it, but they absolutely understood that honoring the body with purity leads to clearer signals of strength and health. And then there's energy. What you eat dictates how you feel, how you move, speak, react. A sluggish body is usually the result of careless input. But a man who eats like a warrior, clean, strategic, purposeful, moves with sharpness. His posture improves. His attention sharpens. He thinks faster, speaks better, reacts slower under stress. These are attractive traits not because they're flashy, but because they're reliable. In a noisy, chaotic world, women instinctively respond to a man who shows signs of physical vitality, mental focus, and emotional balance, and diet plays a foundational role in all three. But the true Stoic doesn't just eat well for the benefits. He eats well because it's the right thing to do. He understands that his body is a tool for virtue, a vessel through which he acts in the world. To neglect it would be to weaken that tool. and to treat it with reverence is to honor life itself. Food, in this view, is not just fuel. It's a moral decision. Every meal is a chance to practice restraint, wisdom, and self-respect. To choose the apple over the donut. The home-cooked meal over the mindless binge. And those choices stack up, not just in your physique, but in your character. Stoicism teaches us that every action is an opportunity to practice excellence. Even eating. Especially eating. When a man eats with discipline, he doesn't have to tell anyone. His body speaks for him. His skin, his scent, his calm energy, they do the talking. And women pick up on it. Not because you're following a trend or counting macros, but because you've chosen to live above impulse. You've chosen mastery over comfort. In the end, a nutrient-rich diet is not just about being healthy or looking good. It's about aligning with nature, showing up in the world with power and clarity, and treating your body as a temple for reason. It's a daily, quiet act of defiance against laziness, against addiction, against modern excess. And when a man lives that way, when he embodies that level of harmony, he becomes hard to ignore. Chapter 3. Deep, focused gaze. The eyes are often described as the windows to the soul, and with good reason. A deep, focused gaze can communicate volumes without a single word being spoken. It reveals intent, confidence, clarity, and in many cases, desire. In Stoic philosophy, the gaze is more than just a tool of attraction. It's a manifestation of presence. The Stoics placed immense value on mindfulness, on being fully engaged in the moment, not lost in distraction or future worries. A man who looks someone in the eyes without wavering isn't just being polite, he's declaring that he is here, now, fully present. This kind of eye contact is magnetic. It doesn't seek approval. It doesn't dance around awkwardness. It simply exists, calm, curious, and powerful. It's rare in a world addicted to screens, notifications, and fragmented attention. When a man holds his gaze with stillness and purpose, he cuts through the noise. He signals something ancient: focus, strength, sincerity. And in doing so, he stands out, not as someone trying to impress, but as someone impossible to ignore. For the Stoic, this focus reflects deep internal discipline. The ability to keep your attention locked, especially during conversation, is a reflection of a trained mind. A focused gaze says, I am not easily shaken. I am not distracted. I am grounded in this moment with you. And that's attractive, not just in the romantic sense, but in the human sense. People are drawn to those who are genuinely present with them. In a world where everyone is half listening and half looking, full attention feels like a gift. But Stoicism also warns against excess. Moderation is key. Holding eye contact too intensely can come across as aggressive, threatening, or artificial. It's not about staring, it's about being tuned in. Authentic eye contact fluctuates, it ebbs and flows with the rhythm of the conversation. It's steady, not stiff. Engaged, not invasive. The Stoic man knows when to hold, when to release, and when to re-engage. He reads cues. He's aware of emotional boundaries. That level of social intelligence is built through introspection, empathy, and experience, all virtues Stoicism promotes. A deep, focused gaze also conveys something else: emotional regulation. When your gaze is calm and centered, it reflects your inner world. The Stoics believed that no matter what storms raged externally, the inner state should remain undisturbed. When a man meets the world with steady eyes, it suggests he's not overwhelmed by chaos or by impulse. It suggests he's resolved, intentional, and composed. That steadiness is felt deeply by others, especially women. It communicates reliability, safety, and self-mastery without needing to say a word. And make no mistake, this isn't about trying to manipulate or charm. A Stoic doesn't fake presence. He becomes present. He doesn't use his gaze as a trick, he uses it as a channel of sincerity. His focus isn't just on what he wants, it's on who he's with. He's engaged with the human being in front of him. He listens with his eyes. And that kind of connection, the genuine kind, is disarming. It melts defenses. It draws people in. Because deep down, everyone is starving to be seen. In essence, how you use your gaze reveals everything about your inner world. If your mind is scattered, your eyes will dart. If you're anxious, they'll avoid. But if you've done the work, if you've cultivated the stillness that Stoicism demands, your gaze will speak volumes. It will reveal your confidence, your depth, your control. And more importantly, it will reflect your ability to stay grounded when others are unraveling. A deep, focused gaze isn't just attractive. It's a practice. It's a ritual. It's a reflection of the man who owns himself, moment by moment. Be that man. Train your mind to be still. Let your eyes become an extension of your presence. And when you lock eyes with someone, mean it. Let them feel that you're not just looking, you're seeing. Chapter 4. Slightly messy look. There's something inherently attractive about a man who looks good without trying too hard. Not because he's lazy or careless, but because he carries himself with an effortless confidence that feels real, grounded, and unforced. It's the kind of confidence that whispers, "I didn't do this for you. I just know who I am." The Stoics understood this deeply. They had no need for extravagant robes or meticulously polished sandals to signal strength. What they relied on was presence, purpose, and an unshakable core. Their power came not from their clothes, but from their character. And today, that same energy is echoed in the slightly messy, rugged look, an appearance that seems unplanned yet purposeful, relaxed yet commanding. Picture the man who walks into a room with his sleeves casually rolled up, a couple of buttons undone, and a light stubble framing his jaw, or not because he forgot to shave, but because he's been too busy doing something that matters. His shirt may be wrinkled from actual effort, his hair tousled from real movement, not a stylist's hand. There's a fine and subtle art to appearing put together in a way that looks entirely unintentional. That's the sweet spot, the place where confidence meets authenticity. It's not about being sloppy. It's about looking like your mind is on bigger things than your mirror. The tousled hair, the slightly crooked collar, the scuffed leather boots, each tells a part of a larger story. A story of a man who's been through things, who's working on things, who has more on his plate than maintaining the illusion of perfection. These little imperfections, when carried with confidence, don't subtract from your presence. They amplify it. Because they signal life, motion, fire. They suggest that the man behind them has depth, has grit, has a pulse that beats for something greater than appearances. This, in action, is what psychology refers to as the pratfall effect. Studies have shown that people find others more likable and attractive when they exhibit small flaws. It humanizes them. When someone looks too perfect, too airbrushed, too choreographed, they lose their edge. They feel unreachable, distant, like a statue rather than a person. A Stoic man, in contrast, isn't striving to be flawless. He's striving to be real. Strong, yes. Grounded, absolutely. But also alive, with dirt under his nails if needed, and a smirk that says he's seen both storms and sunrises. The slightly messy look also conveys something deeper, emotional independence. It's a visual declaration that your sense of worth doesn't come from approval or applause. You're not dressing for the compliments or grooming for the validation. You're focused on your mission. And ironically, that detachment from needing attention is often what earns it. Women notice. People notice. The man who doesn't chase the gaze often ends up owning the room. Not because he's loud, but because he's centered. Think of the timeless archetypes, James Dean, Steve McQueen, even the ancient figure of Marcus Aurelius within his own context. These were not men concerned with being fashionable. They were concerned with living fully. The style wasn't about trends or accessories, it was about essence. They wore their lives on their sleeves. The Stoics championed simplicity not because it was easier, but because it demanded clarity. A cluttered exterior often mirrors a cluttered mind. But a man who can walk out the door with a light dishevel and heavy purpose. That's the mark of someone who knows exactly where he's going. You don't need a walk-in closet or shelves of designer products. What you need is presence. That invisible weight that fills a room when you walk in. The quiet authority that comes from having nothing to prove. The way your shoulders sit, your eyes lock, your voice holds steady, even when your hair's a little wild and your shirt's not perfectly ironed. Those rough edges? They're not flaws. They're texture. They're real. In relationships, this style, or rather, this lack of style as performance, speaks volumes. It says to her, I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to live. You're welcome to join, but I'm not pausing for applause. And that kind of confidence? It draws people like gravity. Because when your outer appearance mirrors your inner stability, when you've got just enough mess to show you're chasing something real, something with weight, your very existence becomes magnetic. Your presence starts to speak for you, and no amount of polish can replicate that. Chapter 5. Small doses of controlled stress. Stress is often seen as the enemy. Something to be avoided, numbed, or eliminated. But the Stoics viewed it differently. They understood that controlled stress, challenges you choose to face willingly, can be one of the most potent forces for personal transformation. In fact, a man who deliberately invites discomfort into his life sends out a signal few others do: I am in pursuit. I am not static. I am becoming more. Controlled stress is not chaos. It's not burnout. It's not drama. It's discipline. It means intentionally putting yourself in situations that challenge you. Cold showers that jolt your nervous system awake. Grueling workouts that force your body to adapt. Standing in front of a crowd when every cell in you wants to hide. Choosing the conversation that scares you instead of the silence that's safe. This isn't about being reckless, it's about being relentless in your pursuit of growth. What this kind of stress builds isn't just a stronger body. It builds a stronger mind. A mind that doesn't run from tension, but leans into it. A mind that adapts under pressure, that sharpens in discomfort. A mind that knows how to breathe through the fire rather than be consumed by it. The man who trains in the storm becomes the calm when one arrives. And that calm? That unshakable core? It's intoxicating to be around. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes perfect sense. Women are biologically inclined to gravitate towards strength, not just the visible kind, but the emotional and psychological kind. The ability to remain centered under pressure is a primal indicator of leadership, capability, and safety. When your stress response is managed, channeled, and turned into fuel rather than fear, your entire presence changes. Slightly elevated cortisol levels, when under control, can signal that you're engaged in something meaningful, that you're alive and operating at a higher frequency. But this is where most men fail. They let stress control them. The Stoic, however, does the opposite. He creates conditions where stress is invited in intentionally. He uses it like a blade to sharpen his edge. He trains his mind to respond with clarity when most people would collapse into chaos. Adversity isn't his enemy, it's his gym, his dojo, his mentor. He exposes himself to struggle daily, not out of masochism, but out of wisdom. He knows that if he chooses discomfort now, he won't be destroyed when discomfort chooses him later. And over time, this changes everything. Your posture begins to shift, you walk taller, not out of arrogance, but from earned confidence. Your speech becomes more deliberate, more concise, more anchored. You speak with the weight of someone who's been through something, and it shows. There's no fidgeting, no apologetic tone. You're not scattered because your inner world is organized through fire. You don't fear the storm, you've built your house in it. In a society where ease is worshipped and most men spend their lives trying to avoid struggle, the man who chooses hard things is a rare force. And people feel it. Women especially. They sense the difference between the man who has never been tested and the one who tests himself daily. They can feel the presence of someone who's been shaped by effort rather than comfort. It's not the chaos of a reckless man. It's the controlled burn of a disciplined one. The difference is everything. Even your habits, when born from intentional stress, begin to carve themselves into your body language, your facial expressions, and your decision-making. Your energy becomes magnetic, not because you're trying to impress, but because you're living in alignment with something ancient. Something raw. Something true. And here's the deeper truth. Confidence doesn't come first. Suffering does. Growth does. Repetition does. The man who's been forged in fire doesn't need applause. He doesn't need to tell anyone what he's done. His confidence isn't loud because it doesn't have to be. It rests in silence, in stillness, in the gravity of someone who knows who he is. You can hear it in his voice, see it in his eyes, and feel it when he enters a room. Be that man. The one who's too busy becoming to bother with validation. The one who exposes himself to discomfort not for glory, but for greatness. The one who doesn't flinch when life hits back because he's already trained for it. He's lived in the edge, made peace with the pressure, and emerged not just stronger, but sharper. More dangerous. More alive. Chapter 6, Calm Demeanor in Chaos. The world is loud. The world is reactive. The world is constantly on fire, rushing, yelling, panicking, proving, breaking. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to win the argument, clap back, make a scene, dominate the noise. But then there's him. The one who doesn't rise with the tide. The one who doesn't flinch when the room explodes. The one who walks through chaos like it's a breeze. He doesn't chase conflict. He doesn't react to nonsense. He doesn't let emotions hijack his reason. He is calm, composed, still, and quietly dangerous. Because a calm man is a man who holds power. And nothing is more magnetic than a man who owns his power without needing to show it. Calmness is not weakness. It is not dull. It is not a lack of passion. In fact, it's the opposite. Calmness is passion mastered. It's fire with direction. It's intensity with control. The calm man isn't asleep, he's awake, completely present, hyper-aware. But he chooses his moments. He doesn't swing wildly at everything that moves. He waits. He watches. He calculates. When he speaks, it's because it matters. When he acts, it lands like thunder. Stoicism breeds this calm not by suppressing emotion, but by disciplining it. It's a trained silence, not an accidental one. Stoicism teaches you to become the eye of the storm, the place where chaos cannot touch. And when a woman sees this in you, something deep in her biology lights up. Not in the surface-level way she might respond to a flashy guy with a loud mouth, but in a primal, rooted, unconscious way. Because calm equals competence. Calm equals command. Calm equals safety. And safety, true emotional safety, is the one thing most women aren't getting from men today. A stoic man doesn't need to be the loudest guy in the room, because his silence already says everything. When things go wrong, when people lose it, when tempers explode, he stays grounded. He doesn't match their chaos with more chaos. He doesn't let their storm invade his mind. His reactions are intentional, not impulsive. His restraint is louder than their noise. And that kind of emotional containment, that's rare. That's seductive. It tells the world, nothing shakes me. But here's the twist, the calm man isn't immune to emotion. His calm doesn't come from being numb. It comes from feeling deeply and controlling it anyway. His heart can race. His hands can sweat. His mind can spin. But you'd never know it. Because he's mastered the space between stimulus and response. And in that space lives his power. That's what Stoicism teaches, not to feel less, but to react less. There's something unforgettable about a man who doesn't overreact. A man who doesn't get baited. A man who doesn't crumble under pressure or throw tantrums when things don't go his way. You become the anchor in a world full of waves. And that makes you unpredictable in the best possible way. You're the paradox, steady but intense. Gentle but powerful. Like a storm that chooses not to break. Like a volcano everyone knows could erupt, but hasn't. Yet. And don't mistake this calm for detachment. It's not coldness. It's not disinterest. Women don't see this as boring, they see it as depth. They feel it in your eyes, in the way you hold space, in the way you stay fully present when others check out. They wonder what built it. They wonder what pain you've turned into peace. What war you survived without bleeding all over them. Calm invites curiosity. It hints at a story. And stories seduce far more than shouting ever will. A calm man exudes trust, not because he promises it, but because he embodies it. His energy grounds the room. His voice settles anxiety. His presence stabilizes. That's the kind of man she imagines herself around when everything else in life falls apart. Because he won't shatter. He won't disappear. He won't drown in her chaos, he'll absorb it and reflect back order. You don't need money or abs or status to create that kind of gravitational pull. You need inner order. Inner weight. Emotional stillness. You need to build the kind of self-discipline that can sit in a storm without running, reacting, or reaching for escape. You need to be the kind of man who doesn't let life knock him off his center. That's not just attractive, it's ancient. It's primal. It's what warrior philosophers throughout time have trained for. So, train it. Build it. Use every stressful moment as an opportunity to practice presence. Learn to slow your breathing. Learn to pause before you speak. Learn to smile at chaos instead of fearing it. Because when you become the man who can't be rattled, you become the man who everyone instinctively respects and who women instinctively trust. And in a world that rewards noise, you'll be the signal. Quiet, controlled, unshakable. That's not just stoic. That's legendary. Chapter 7, Understated Intelligence and Curiosity. Loud intelligence can grab attention. But it's the quiet kind, the understated, composed, deeply rooted intelligence that holds it. The kind that doesn't need to prove itself because it's not about performance. It's about presence. A man with understated intelligence doesn't speak to dominate. He speaks to understand. He asks questions that cut through surface talk. He listens not to reply, but to absorb. That man is magnetic. Because intelligence, when grounded in humility and curiosity, doesn't look like a flex, it looks like depth. The Stoics were masters of this. They weren't scholars for applause or prestige. They didn't learn to seem intelligent. They studied philosophy, human behavior, and the nature of reality to live rightly. Marcus Aurelius read at night not to impress the Senate, but to understand how to rule with wisdom. Epictetus taught that you cannot begin to learn what you think you already know. That's the essence of this trait. Real intelligence begins where ego ends. A truly intelligent man is rarely the one interrupting the conversation. He's the one listening with focused silence. He's present, not distracted, not fidgeting, not waiting to drop some clever line. He watches. He reads between the lines. And when he speaks, his words hit different. Not because they're loud, but because they're considered. Measured. Intentional. There's weight behind them. You feel them. Women sense that too, instinctively. It signals maturity. It signals control. It signals a man who doesn't need validation from being the smartest in the room because his value is internal. Curiosity is the fuel behind all of this. Not the shallow, interview-style curiosity that just wants facts. But the deeper kind, the curiosity that says, I want to understand who you are. Why you are. What you feel beneath what you say. That kind of curiosity can't be faked. It's a hunger for knowledge, for insight, for deeper connection with the world and the people in it. And when a woman feels that from you, not just being listened to, but seen, something powerful happens. She feels safe. She feels valuable. She feels respected. And that makes you unforgettable. This kind of intelligence doesn't require degrees, a massive vocabulary, or endless facts. It requires presence. It requires a mind that's still open. One that can hold paradox. One that doesn't rush to label or judge. The Stoics understood that true wisdom often looks like restraint. It looks like saying, I don't know, with confidence. It looks like being slow to react, quick to understand. And in a world where everyone is trying to talk over each other, that kind of mental composure is rare and deeply attractive. Understated intelligence also shows in how you move through life. The books on your shelf, the way you take in the world, the questions you ask yourself in silence. A man like this doesn't just accept things at face value. He reflects. He analyzes. He improves. And he's not afraid to change his mind when new information comes. That humility, that refusal to cling to a fixed identity, is strength, not weakness. When a woman senses that you're interested in more than just her appearance, that you want to understand her thoughts, her story, her contradictions, she leans in. Because you're not like the rest. You're not trying to impress. You're exploring. And the man who explores her with the same curiosity he brings to the world becomes someone she feels on a deeper level. That's rare. That's memorable. Understated intelligence and curiosity also protect you. They keep you sharp. They help you see through manipulation, through shallow games, through performative nonsense. They allow you to hold space for silence, to resist reacting emotionally, to observe and know before acting. That's the Stoic ideal, not just knowing things, but living as though you do. Turning knowledge into virtue. So here's the truth, you don't need to be a philosopher to be deeply attractive. But if you can cultivate a mindset of quiet curiosity and thoughtful intelligence, if you can learn to seek understanding instead of dominance, you will stand out. Not in a flashy way. In a way that lasts. Because when the noise fades, the humble mind stays sharp. And the man who masters his mind, who values growth over ego, depth over display, isn't just intelligent. He's irresistible. Now you know. Attraction isn't always about loud confidence or flashy looks, it's hidden in the details. In the calmness you carry. In the depth of your gaze. In the way your body tells the truth of your discipline. The world teaches men to seek validation by screaming louder. But the Stoic knows, true power whispers. And the most attractive men are the ones who don't need to prove it, they embody it. So if you saw yourself in any of these traits, or if you saw who you could become, don't just let this video fade. Take what you've learned and apply it. Live it. Become the man who doesn't chase attention, but draws it effortlessly. Not by acting, but by aligning your actions with your principles. If this spoke to something in you, hit that like button. It's not for me, it's a signal that men like you are still out there. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share your story in the comments, tell us what trait resonated most, or what you're working on. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it. We rise together. We sharpen each other. Now go live like a man who knows his value and doesn't need to say a damn word to prove it. Until next time, stay stoic, stay sharp.